Thank you very much for your interesting presentation, Anastasia. And we are going to stay in the European part of Russia. I invite a representative of Oryol State Agrarian University, Mr. Alexey Lyashuk. How are you today? Please tell us about your famous city and the university.
Well, I'm doing fine, thank you. And I thank you all for coming here today. My name is Alexey, and I'm a postgraduate student of the Oryol State Agrarian University. And today I would like you to enjoy our little presentation. We will guide you through the basic tenets of our university, and I will try to explain and showcase everything that might interest you. And if we have some time left, I would, of course, be glad to answer any questions you might have. So, first slide, please. The Oryol State Agrarian University was founded in the year 1975. As you might guess, our university is rather recent in comparison to others. And in our opinion, that is actually a strength because it defines a high potential for innovation in our university. It's a large educational research center, one of the 10 leading agricultural universities in Russia. It is also a member of a Visegrad University Association, a union of agricultural and natural science university of Eastern Europe as a whole, and also a member of the Eurasian Association of Universities. And on the next slide, the Oryol State Agrarian University is an innovational scientific education complex which implements over 60 different educational programs of secondary vocational education and higher education, and also supplementary education in the fields of agriculture, processing industry, economics, construction, and so on. Our university today employs a highly trained professional staff of teachers and professors and more than 5,000 students from Russia and 16 other countries from all over the world. The university includes faculties of agribusiness and ecology, biotechnology and veterinary medicine, agri-technology and energy supply, economics, as well as the Civil Engineering Institute, the Multidisciplinary College, and the Pre-University Training Center, and the Institute of Supplementary Education. Next slide, please. So let me introduce you to the traditional areas of study in our university. And the first one would be agronomy. So in our university, future agronomists partake in a deep study of biology, agriculture, crop production, agrochemistry, land reclamation, seed production, as well as the economy of the agricultural sector as a whole. The material and technological foundations meet the highest educational standards. The faculty has a museum of soils, as well as extensive herbariums of agricultural plants, and ecological and biochemical laboratory, and its own field used for student experiments and practical training. And in addition to, as I mentioned, in addition to classroom lessons, students of the faculty undergo practical training in large scientific institutions such as the All-Russian Research Institute of Legumes and Roads and an All-Russian Research Institute of Breeding of Fruit Crops. The next field would be zootechnics. And the main direction of the educational process there aims to teach the correct organization of feeding, breeding, and raising all types of farm animals. At the same time, special attention is being paid to the development of high-level breeding work. In addition, in the course of studying, students master various courses such as economics, management, mechanization of processes, and many others. The faculty has a number of specialized research laboratories, including an animal feeding laboratory, a genetics laboratory, and others. Students carry out their practical lessons at the most modern livestock enterprises in the region. Next slide, please. The next field would be biotechnology. The training of biotechnology students at our university, along with traditional educational directions, has a number of peculiarities. The main specialization is the study of using living organisms such as bacteria, fungi, viruses, plants, etc., in agricultural production. The subject of study there are various subjects such as methods of genetic engineering, microbiology, cell biology, embryology, biochemistry, and chemical and informational technologies. The main technological foundation of this is the Oryol Regional Center for Agricultural Biotechnology. And food of animal origin is another field. Future professionals usually focus on the study of production and processing of raw materials, prepackaged products, and products of animal origin. Another focus of this education are food ingredients and additives, technological equipment, devices, documentation, regulation, design and technology, sanitary, veterinary, and building forms and regulation, international standards, methods, and means of quality control of raw materials, as well as prepackaged and ready products, and much more. Practice for future professional activities is carried out in the high-tech food industry enterprises. And if you excuse me, I think we skipped slide 4. Can we go back? No, go back to slide 4, please. Thank you. Here we can see 2 more fields of study. The first one is agroengineering. Our university trains specialists in the development and implementation of new technologies and equipment that ease the labor of livestock workers and increase crop yields. The main educational areas are such like organizing the correct and effective use of agricultural machinery and equipment, testing new equipment, introducing new technologies into existing processes, as well as automating production. The material and technological foundation is represented by 24 specialized laboratories of various purposes. In particular, very important field is veterinary medicine. Our university trains specialists in the treatment and prevention of diseases of agricultural, domestic, and exotic animals and birds. Coincidentally, the main directions of the education are veterinary therapy, surgery, microbiology and virology, obstetrics and zoo hygiene, as well as veterinary and sanitary control over the quality of animal products. The educational process and research work of students is concentrated in the specialized laboratories of anatomy and veterinary radiobiology, physiology, embryology, and others. Practical training of future veterinarians is carried out at modern agricultural enterprises and large veterinary clinics. Now to slide 6, please. Construction. The students of this specialty study the process of design and construction of buildings, installation, and commissioning of various buildings. For future work in this specialty, among other things, students discover the basic of budgeting, of safety and labor protection rules and construction at construction sites, as well as the specifics of working with various materials and structures. The material foundation of the educational process is very extensive and includes various specialized laboratories, such as testing of building structures, building materials, engineering, geology, geodesy, and others. And practical training is focused on industrial and civic construction projects. And the last one we'll mention is the landscape architecture. Future landscape designers study the issues of volumetric, spatial, and organization of any territory and free space design. 3 main areas of study is that the future landscape designer is practicing are engineering, biology, and history. They all play different roles, of course, but they are all equally important to the process. Students undergo practical training in leading design and architectural organizations and nurseries in Moscow, St. Petersburg, Oryol, as well as in private landscape design firms. Next slide, please. No slides on this. To participate in the competition for enrollment to the university for undergraduate and specialist programs, participants must provide certain documentation, such as an application, an original and a copy of identity documents and citizenship, an original and a copy of any educational documents, such as diplomas or certificates, 2 photos in the 3:4 ratio, and a medical certificate. These will most likely be, if these are provided, I'm sure that the application will have absolutely no problems. Next slide, please. So the key dates and deadlines for such admissions for full-time education, the starting date of accepting documents is June 1st, 2021. And the deadline for the completion of any document you might have is the July 15th, 2021. And different deadlines apply for distance learning in undergraduate and specialist degrees. The beginning is May 1st and the completion is August 6th. And for training in master's programs, the in-person acceptance would be from June to July 20th, June 1st to July 20th, and in abstinence acceptance from May 1st to August 6th. Next slide, please. So concerning accommodation, of course, our dormitories provide everything you will possibly need, from food to any medical help to quite decent living spaces. The fees are quite generous, as I might say, only $250 per year. And I'm sure that our dormitories will meet any possible requirements that you might have. Concerning the student life, next slide, please. The student life in our university, of course, is rather varied. Students have an opportunity to unleash their creative potential in various ways. And with that, they can enroll in various workshops, such as a core studio, which concerns with folk music, a ballroom dance studio, for those who prefer more classical dancing. There's also a theatrical studio variant for those who prefer to try maybe themselves, maybe to practice theater. There is also a folk vocal studio, which also concerns with singing, but of course in a more modern ways. And I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in that. There's also a workshop of performing arts called Student Starts, and a historical dance studio, Noble Nest, that is, in fact, very interesting, and I would suggest you to give it a try as well, and many others. So the university has also excellent conditions for various sports. There are sports clubs for basketball, football, volleyball, cross-country skiing, polyathlon, aerobics, and table tennis, arm wrestling, etc., etc., etc. Many things, as well as modernized gymnasiums and, of course, a stadium. Of course, we're waiting you at the Oryol State Agrarian University. So let's talk a bit about Oryol as a region. It's a traditional region situated in middle Russia, not that far from Moscow. A very culturally rich region, birthplace of such writers as Turgenev and Leskov. It always played a special role in the spiritual development of Russian people. The climate is, of course, very varied, and from season to season, the weather is very beautiful. And I'm sure that for those of you who perhaps live in a more warm climate, our winter would be quite a sight to behold. So the enrolling in our university would mean that you would live and study in probably one of the most beautiful places in Russia. And on the final slide, we have our contact information. So contact us if you have any questions. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much for this presentation. Yeah, it's really interesting. And if you don't mind, I would like to ask first question from myself, which is actually really interesting to me. So when, for example, you get students from other countries, other regions of planet, like from Africa or Latin America, and are there any specific topics that you cover when you teach them how to, I don't know, grow plants in their regions, or how does it normally work?
Yeah, of course. So students, of course, international students and domestic students, they all learn from the same curriculums. So there's no change there. But if they are interested, of course, our staff is most qualified to teach them anything they might want to know about their particular regions. And of course, they most certainly do, because that's part of the educational process anywhere. So if they desire to know certain things about certain regions, we would be happy and ready to answer any questions they might have.
Right. All right. Another question we got from our audience is, can we get can a person get any scholarships during the period of studies? For example, if like he studies well or has excellent marks, it is possible to switch from paid education to scholarship.
Of course, naturally.
Really?
Our university has a plenty of scholarships, and our students can attest to that. So, if most of our foreign programs are in fact based on scholarships. So, if anyone comes here, naturally, everything will be paid for, and I'm sure they will be happy with our scholarships.
Yeah, of course. Actually, yes, also wanted to ask you the same question as I asked before about the living conditions at the dormitory. Do you have separate dorms for international students, or you mix them
Yeah.
with Russian students?
Yes, our international students live in separate dormitories. Of course, if they prefer to live with Russian students, they can choose to do so. Yes, of course, like our dormitories will provide everything they might need.
So they can actually choose, right? If they want to
Yes,
stay separately or with Russian
yes.
students there. All right. Also, do you have any, I mean, agrarian university, I mean, has to have many international students, especially that are coming to study, and then they return back to their
Mhm.
countries, and they will get options for employment from their governments. Is it true for your university, or you normally have like individual students who apply to study at the university?
Well, I'd say we have both. Of course, our international program is still rather fresh, so uh, we're still mostly trying to uh, show our potential in this regard. But naturally, I think that any student that comes to our university will receive quite sufficient education to work, to get work in their regions and achieve great things with that. So that would be
All
my
right,
answer.
all right. Well, thank you very much for this
Thank you.
presentation, and Alexey, I wish you a good day, and I hope that I personally would like to come and visit your university. So maybe in coming months we'll be able to do so. So thank you very
We'll
much,
be
and
glad.
have a great day.
Thank you.